presented with a prospect of area mining using B-29s, and it was turned down in Washington and at higher levels. But Nimitz got hold of it, and Nimitz called LeMay and said, "Look, I've got all these mines. You've got all those B-29s that can deliver them. Why don't we get together?" And they did, and they worked cooperatively. And a third of my missions were mining missions, on those missions, we were in complete. The Navy was in charge of those missions. The Air Corps was not involved. We were briefed by the Navy, naval intelligence, mapped out the missions. We had one wing. It was my wing. I was in the 313th wing, and the 313th wing was devoted to the Navy to the extent they needed it, mining. So, for those of you who are interested, I have here a list of where the mines were dropped, and of course the preponderance, by far, the greatest number of mines were dropped in the Shimonoseki Straits, which separated Kyushu from Honshu. And of course, that's where all the shipping, all the supplies that were going to Japan, about 80% of it went through these straits. So it was a very popular place. It was as you can see, it's very narrow. And many of you may know, they built a bridge. There's a big suspension bridge now joining Honshu with Kyushu, just about over those straits. Oh yeah. But these show you the number of mines that were dropped, and these are the mines that were dropped, both in this and here in this area. And even from the get-go, the Japanese had really good defenses. And Shimonoseki Straits were very heavily defended. They had good anti-aircraft. It was really a good. Unfortunately, they had good searchlights, let me tell you. But let me tell you what a mining mission was like. First of all, and legitimately so, the Navy was very, very fussy about where the mines were dropped. And they should, because they had a sweep lately. And they also, if they weren't dropped in shipping lanes, they weren't of any value. So we would brief each of us, each crew, independently about where we would have dropped the mines, and we took photographs. We took photographs of the radar scope showing where the drops were, and we took pictures. And we had an automatic camera in the tail back here that took pictures so that when we hit landfall, they could tell where we were. And so they literally plotted each mine that was dropped. And let me tell you how many mines we dropped, which is in total. In total, the B-29s dropped 23,500 mines. These were either 1,000 or 2,000 pound mines. And Torpex. Does anybody know what Torpex is? They were Torpex. Torpex, or the Army called it the composition B. And I was told 2.5 times as powerful as TNT, but relatively unstable. In fact, they told you never to hit a mine with a hammer because it might blow up. That made us a little nervous. Particularly if a mine, which didn't happen very often, but occasionally we had one. If you had a 1,000-pound mine that had 2 shackles on it and only one released, you had it down. That was nervous time to get in there. Drop and unshackle, release that shackle, make sure the doggone thing didn't hit the side of the plane. So we did that. We did that a lot with regular bombs, not very often with mines. But on a mining mission, we dropped the mines, and I unfortunately don't have a picture of the mine dropping, but the mines had parachutes. You get there. Okay. I'm about finished. But anyway, the mines had parachutes, and the reason for the parachute was to slow down the descent of the mine, because if the parachute stripped off and the mine landed, it would explode on impact. So and we, incidentally, we're flying at typically 4,000 or 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet. In order to not strip the parachute off the mine, we had to fly at lower speed. You know, we flew at 280 miles an hour versus 320 miles an hour. And you flew in a straight line. Now think about this. Any duck hunters here? You flew at a constant heading, same altitude, at a slow speed, at a low altitude. And it may be 10 to 20 seconds between line runs. So you could be maybe as much as 4 minutes on that run. And 4 minutes in searchlights is not fun. I want to let you know that. So and then we flew, but the mining, we didn't know anything. We had no idea for years whether or not the mines did any good or not. We didn't have a clue. Nobody knew. Until somebody showed up one day with I don't know if you ever heard of World War II magazine. There was this article in there that talked about the effects of the mining and the area of mining in Japan. It was extraordinarily effective. Let me give you the statistics to find that article. But after 1 month of mining by the B-29s, imports dropped 50%. Okay. At the end of the war, they were down 90%. And almost 500 ships had been sunk, they estimate, by aerial mines. So, at any rate, we flew 2 missions. I flew with our crew flew 2 missions to a place called Rasheen, North Korea. As I mentioned, was 60 nautical miles from Vladivostok, way up here. From the time you made landfall coming across this island until you got up here was about, I'd say 3.5 hours. So you were 7 hours over enemy territory on a mining mission. We flew the first one non-stop, 4,350 miles, and we landed. We had 2 bomb bay tanks, so we were using only 1 bomb bay. We had about 71,000-pound mines. And when we landed, when we put the wheels down, the flaps down, and coming in on our final approach, 1 engine cut out because it ran out of fuel. How close we were. Next time we flew that mission, we landed at Ewo. We had Ewo at that time. So, that's it. Any questions?
First of all, Herb, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. I'm going to ask the first question. Herb, let me make sure I understood. You graduated from high school in 1942. June of 42. So how old were you when you were flying these missions?
By the time I got overseas, I was
19.
20.
Have I got kids that age? Dad, can I borrow the car? No. He's flying a bomber over Japan. Question? Sir?
I wanted to ask you if you had ADM available on the plane, automatic direction finding, where you could home in on the local stations. Okay.
I heard about that, but we didn't have it.
My father actually bought me one of those things after the war in a vendor shoot.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They did, toward the very end of the war, they had what they call radar beacons. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but you had to get within 300 miles